This meeting is being held in accordance with the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act. Annual notice of this meeting was published in the Union County Local Source, the Newark Star Ledger. Said notice was posted in the municipal building, and a copy is on file with the Office of the Borough Clerk. Fire exits are located in the directions I'm indicating. If you are alerted for a fire, please move in a calm, orderly manner to the nearest smoke-free exit. Proper notice having been given, the Borough Clerk is directed to include the statement in the minutes of the meeting. Please call the roll.
Councilman Petrosky.
Here.
Councilman Johnson.
Present.
Councilman Signorello.
Here.
Councilman Ravina.
Present.
Councilwoman Lyons.
Here.
Councilman Patel.
Here.
Mayor Signorello.
Here.
All present, Mayor.
Opening prayer, pledge of allegiance.
Eternal God, grant us thy help in all our duties and perplexities. We ask for thy guidance. Give us thy protection in our dangers and sorrows. Grant us thy peace. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, a couple proclamations tonight. We have recognizing Black History Month. Rod, where you at? Come on up, man. Looking handsome. How's that? Great, come on. So I was going to have Chris Monroe come up because he's the head of the Diversity Inclusion Committee. And he's like, dude, you got to get somebody else to get this. So we thought about people who, create Black history in Roselle Park. And Rod is a second ward resident, former Board of Ed member, and just an all-around good guy. Beautiful family, always been there for me when I needed him. And in honor of that, honor of your contribution to Roselle Park and our little piece of Black history here, I wanted to give you a proclamation for Black History Month. Round of applause for Rod. I don't know if you want to say anything, Rod? Yeah. This is Mayor Height, so let me fix that.
Can I just take it off?
Yeah, there you go. Easier.
Well, firstly, thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council, for bestowing this proclamation on me. It's certainly an honor, and I'm privileged to live in such a community where people like to serve the community. And, I'm definitely a firm believer of serving your community, as well as being on the Board of Ed. I was on the Board of Health for a number of years, serving Roselle Park. And it's just totally been an honor. A little piece of Black history, since it is Black History Month. I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, founded as the first intercollegiate Greek letter fraternal organization for Black men in the world. Wow. I stand on the shoulders of those brothers before me. For example, Dr. Martin Luther King, Thurgood Marshall, Frederick Douglass, Paul Robeson, and Dr. Cornel West, just to name a few. And our motto is, first of all, servants of all, we shall transcend all. And I just wanted to give a plug out for Black history for the first Black fraternal organization in the world, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. So thank you.
Well, first off, I wanted to call him Doctor.
Oh, sorry.
I think that's important. And we appreciate, I'm basically saying the same thing to the mayor, but we appreciate your service in the community, and that's why it just makes sense. And we hope you feel better, too, as well.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything, but we're glad to see you on your feet.
Absolutely.
Hanging around.
Absolutely.
Man. Yeah.
So thank you.
Cool. Take some pictures? Yeah.
This is my son, Rory.
Oh, so cute.
Well, dude, the daughter's taller than me. It's just bad.
Smile for the camera. I only got a couple of pictures here.
All right, me when you're older. I got a lot of enemies.
All right, get one more.
Sorry, late. Coming from work.
And that's my
That's
sister.
my bro. Right there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Dude. Huh? Me too.
Pick you up.
That's enough making fun of the mayor for one night.
Who else we got?
This is all you.
Oh. You signed it.
Yeah? Okay.
So, good evening. Sue, Natalie, come on up.
She's watching on TV, right? Where's the camera?
Yeah.
Right there, okay.
So, bringing up Sue Grasso and her daughter Natalie, there's a proclamation for, I should pronounce it, Caterina Shepis Caselli was born in Valleporia, Reggio Calabria, Italy, and February 12, 1925. Caterina Shepis Caselli immigrated to America by boat on January 23, 1936. Whereas upon arriving in America, Caterina Shepis Caselli landed in the port of New York and lived in Elizabeth, New Jersey until 1942. Whereas in 1942, Caterina Shepis Caselli moved to Roselle Park, New Jersey, married on June 16, 1946 at the Church of Assumption, and resided in the borough to 1997. Caterina Shepis Caselli raised 5 children in Roselle Park, and whereas Caterina Shepis Caselli moved to Barnegat, New Jersey, in May of 1997, currently resides there. On February 12, 2025, Caterina Shepis Caselli celebrated her joyous occasion on her 100th birthday.
Wow.
Therefore, we proclaim that Joseph Signorella Jr., the third Mayor Signorella of Borough of Roselle Park County Union, the state of New Jersey, do hereby especially proclaim congratulations and extend well wishes to Caterina Shepis Caselli on the occasion of her 100th birthday. So, if she's out there, God bless. I'll just say a couple words. I know Mrs. Caselli since probably was about this little. When I used to go to Church Assumption, she sat in the 5th or 6th row, and on the right-hand side, and me and my grandmother and my Aunt Josie, we used to sit by her, and I got to know her for many years ago, and we all sat in the same aisle over there. And if somebody sat in our rows, you know, you got the look. But her main name is Shepis, and a beloved friend of mine, Tony Shepis, was the fire chief prior to me back in the day, and I miss him dearly. So congratulations, God bless, and I saw her 2 weeks ago at a party, and she looks great. I don't know if the daughter has some secrets, but if you could share them, share them. So congratulations.
Thank you. I just want to say on behalf of my mom and my 3 sisters and my brother, we're going to accept this proclamation humbly, and we're so blessed to have our mother for 100 years. She drives, she cooks, she cleans. We are truly blessed. So thank you.
And I just want to say, I know you got airmailed or overnighted something from the governor, but you know, this has got a personal touch. So we tried to get there for you.
Thank you.
So nice.
Engineer and photographer.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Good job, Mike.
What's going on, brother? It's good.
No, we don't need it. I'll take the mic though. Just move that over toward the. Yeah, that's fine, Joe.
Okay. All right.
Mom's waiting at Frenchie's right now, so we
Oh, is she really?
Ah!
Oh, okay.
bring her
I'd like to get out too. I'll come join. It's better than this. Okay, so now this gets pretty boring. We have a bunch of engineers here that are going to bore us to tears. No, in all seriousness, we have Neglia Engineering here, and this is a culmination of a lot of work that we've done. Obviously, since I've been mayor, you know, I grew up here. Since I've been mayor, we've probably seen the most intense rains in the last 2 decades, and our system, stormwater system's getting strained. There's a couple particular problem areas that we notice So we had Negley Engineering do sort of a thorough investigation as to what's going on. And I think it runs through most of our wards, so rather than doing this in some kind of committee, I thought it was best just to have Negley here and walk us all through what they found. So, Tomas, I hand it over to you, and looking forward to hearing what you got.
I'm not sure you want to hear it, but that's fine. But thanks for the introduction.
Bracing myself for it.
It's good to see everyone, Mayor and Council, Administrator Casillas. I do have the brains behind the operation with me, Mike Gormley and Daniel Blaine. I'm Tom Solfaro. We work for Negley Group. As the Mayor stated, we were tasked with performing a storm sewer evaluation in certain portions of the borough. So basically back in September, October last year, we prepared a plan and specification to do a closed circuit television, internal and TV inspection and cleaning of storm sewer lines. What's presented in front of you on paper as well as digitally up on the screen, I know it's kind of hard to see. The first exhibit really is an overall project limit map, and basically the limits were from Lehigh Avenue to the north, which is the highest reach or the most upstream elevation of the system televised, basically transversing and conveying all the way down to East Westfield Avenue, down by Locust Street. So basically, it was Lehigh Avenue to Lincoln to Spruce, through some easements on Cherry and Birch, the Westbrook Stream, if everybody remembers, that location between Clay and East Grant Avenue, through Walnut Street, Charles Williams, Chestnut, Filbert, and ultimately down to Route 28. Where it crosses Route 28 into Roselle, Morris's Creek, if everybody remembers Morris's Creek, and then the Arthur Kill, where it ultimately drains. To the Mayor's point, the borough, I commend the borough for, always trying to be proactive in protecting the health, safety, and welfare of its constituents, the public, and the residents of Roselle Park. Trying to determine infrastructure deficiencies, flooding mechanisms, defects, anything that could be in line with potential flooding mitigation and control measures, which the borough would try to sponsor either through grants or its capital funding to help mitigate that and do some capital infrastructure and projects. So before you tonight, again, there's an overall map from Lehigh down to East Westfield Avenue. We took and we created 5 priority areas from our findings. National Water Main was the hired contractor via the local public contracts law. We spent about the budget was around $200,000. I think it was, at the end of the day, we spent around $215,000, so we had to cut off the investigation. So the majority of the infrastructure within the limits as shown has been televised and investigated. There were a couple of spot areas due to the budget constraints we had to take out at this point in time. Potentially we can get back in there for an additional phase of work. But National Water Main went in there with TV equipment and also manpower. They were also in the pipes. Televised the areas in question, cleaned out the areas in question, a tremendous amount of debris. Some
So
collapse.
they actually did cleaning while they were there too?
Yes,
Okay.
part of the project, Mayor, was to not only investigate and see what the issues were, but also to clean as much as possible. So they spent, I believe, 20 or 21 days out in the field, between 4 to 5 weeks. They removed roughly 120 tons of material.
Wow.
Which if you equate that to, it's about 100 cubic yards, which is about 10 to 12 standard-sized dump trucks. Or if anyone sees like a triaxle tandem of asphalt, like for an asphalt truck, that's about 5 fully loaded asphalt trucks.
That's crazy.
It's a lot of material.
Yep.
For various reasons. Illegal dumping, street sweepings, erosion, just erosion of the general infrastructure. It is antiquated, it is outdated. Some of it goes back to 60, 70, 80, 90 years old, right? So it needs a little TLC.
Tom, when you do this, is there a way to kind of get a sense for like the last time any of this has been done? Or it's just like, it's probably been decades, I would assume, right?
This administration has been proactive, so there have been, over the last few years, different areas. If you remember, we went out and we televised and cleaned by Costas, the open channel ditches.
Yep. That's true. There have been some.
So there have
spots
been but again, to your point, known problem areas within the borough, correct? So we're trying to get our hands around that. So their money has been spent, but I'd say overall, from the town-wide perspective, which most towns are, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind.
Yep.
But again, you're trying to bring it to the forefront. So that's always appreciated, and I'm sure the public would appreciate that too.
Yep.
So basically what we did was, on the overall map, we created 5 priority areas, one being the most intense and requires probably the most immediate attention, and 5 being the least. Typical encounters or defects that were found were, pipes that had flat slopes to them, they're not pitched at all, or they were back pitched, creating a ponding condition in the pipe, a lot of debris buildup, misaligned joints where pipes marry up to one another, whether horizontally or vertically. That creates situations in areas where all debris just kind of sticks to that area and continues to back up, causing blockages. Voids in some of the culvert walls. We have all different infrastructure type, makeup pipe and materials. We have reinforced concrete pipe. We have box culverts. We have cobblestone culverts. We have brick arch. There's a whole bunch of other materials in there, which is standard and normal practice through the course of time. But that old material starts to wear out. Scouring, the amount of volume and flow of water that goes through there, so it starts to deteriorate some of the walls of the bigger culverts. That material falls down into the pipe, again, creating flow restriction, but also structural integrity issues, which needs to be addressed, right? So those are the higher priority items, which would be under priority number 1. We have exposed rebar of some of the reinforced areas. We have dislodged bricks, stones. We found some bubbler-type basins in the system, which basically water gets into the way it's supposed to function. Water gets into the system through the basin. The bottom is supposed to be perforated, so water gets in there and kind of permeates into the ground. And then there's an overflow, higher pipe elevation in there. If the water gets too intense, it can flow out. And we found a lot of those bubbler basins were just sedimented in, so that the water could percolate into the ground and to help mitigate some of the stormwater control. We found root intrusion. We found utility crossings within our storm sewer systems, whether it's gas mains, water mains, which obviously impact conveyance of some of our pipes in our system, which could lead to some of our flooding concerns. There's a whole litany of scenarios that we just encountered that I just explained. Yep.
Go for it. Yeah.
That's what I was looking for, listening. There are some streets that we might have some utilities that went through our space or whatever and could be impacting this.
Yeah, specific.
Do you think we could go after
Yeah,
them
so
or
specific.
back or ask why?
Well,
That's all I have.
no one's going to tell you why.
But we've encountered this already, right? Like,
What's that?
we've had a couple
Yeah,
emergency.
Absolutely, and this is standard in other towns too. It doesn't make it right.
Yeah.
But it happens, and the areas that we're talking about now, Councilman, is like in the area of Filbert and Lincoln. They have utility crossings right within our cross sections of our culvert. Again, not only a capacity issue, but it's also a dam. Basically, it's a bottleneck of material and water trying to come down through that section. Listen, by all means, part of the recommendations as we continue to go down this path with the administration is, hey, listen, we need to bring these other entities, whether it's utility companies, whether it's the culvert under Route 28, which is state-owned or state participating. Lincoln Avenue is a county road.
Right.
We wouldn't want to get all those agencies,
Didn't we
including the utility
experience
companies. I'm sorry?
Sorry. Didn't we experience this a little while back also with Walnut too? Or like around Walnut or something like that?
There was one that we had emergency. There's 2 that I remember. We had emergency work where there was water coming up, and it was because American Water was jutting into our system.
Correct.
Where were the intersections?
I think
though?
that was Walnut.
That was Walnut.
Was it
I
Walnut?
think it was
yeah.
Walnut.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. All right.
So we would want to get in face-to-face with these other jurisdictions to say, hey, listen, you need to help us out here.
Yeah, Tom. One thing to note: isn't the state DOT's doing a refresh of Route 28 right pretty soon?
They just did it over the last.
They're doing chip sealing.
I'm sorry?
They're doing chip seal.
Oh, is that what? Because don't forget, they put in the sidewalks and the pedestrian improvements, and they milled and paved 3 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, it wasn't long ago. But what they're doing fresh?
They're doing chip seal, so they'll do a very surface level mill, and then
Okay.
they'll put us.
But it doesn't mean we can't bring them to the table.
Yeah, I mean, they also never, there's the one area that you're highlighting that they literally never went over because they were afraid of caving in the culvert.
Yeah, we can get into that, Mayor. So
Yep.
we have different priorities like we talked about on an overall map. There is supporting Google imagery maps, and also we have a photo location plan. We don't have to go through every one of them in detail tonight. We'll be here for 6 hours. But it's there for your edification, and obviously if anybody has any questions. But basically, the photos are labeled, and they're identified on the Google imagery map as to where they are in the town system. But the biggest problem areas are our culverts, right? There are larger diameter infrastructure, again, stone base, stone bottom, half stone walls, CMU concrete block, masonry walls on top, reinforced concrete bridge decking on top. All that stuff there's areas where it's decaying, it's dilapidated, it's falling in. I'm not saying it's going to collapse tomorrow. It's not a safety concern, but it is an issue that needs to be addressed. Whether any type of improvement, listen, there's various ways to skin a cat, whether it's a total replacement, whether it's bypass installation, which would require hydraulic study, which we've been doing some stuff for the borough on the side with that. Could be internal improvements. It could be shotcreting or gunite, which basically they spray cementatious material with some rebar to give it more structural strength. It could be slip lining with a high poly liner. I mean, the list is long. We haven't figured out what those improvements would be yet. We're not ready to present that tonight. But when we wrap up this evening, my recommendation would be, hey, to continue to go down, reviewing this information. The firm itself creates kind of like a mini master plan of improvements.
Yeah.
Further identify the issues of concern, label them out, have them in order, come up with some cost estimating.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you have some cost estimates attached to it, that'd be
And
helpful.
then we can sit down and brainstorm maybe how you want to continue to move down to help mitigate some of these measures. But again, the biggest areas in question, priority number one, that's down East Westfield Avenue and Filbert Street. If everybody remembers, we always had problems by McDonald's over there.
Yep.
Back in the day.
Yep.
Again, state agency with Route 28, we should definitely get them involved if we decide to do something there. Priority number 2 and 2A, they're kind of the same. Again, they're bigger culvert areas. That's over by Grant Avenue and Union, and also over on Lincoln Avenue again, which is county jurisdiction.
And you have 2 and 2A just because you kind of ranked them
We
as
lumped
like...
them together. Originally, on LC Mayor was really 2 and 3, and I said, listen, they should be both 2.
Okay. And is it just because they run along the same strip, or because they're of the most same importance?
Their determination is that they're pretty intense, and they should be in line with right after work that we want to do on Route 28.
Got it. So
okay?
one is like, you really
One
got to
is
do
like, hey,
it.
listen, this is the first point of location where we really should consider
Yeah.
potentially expending additional funds.
2 is like, you also
It's
not
right
far
behind
off.
it. Yeah, it's right
okay.
behind it.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, you got to understand, I mean, these are highly trafficked areas. You have, you can just imagine the ADT and the truck traffic that comes across Route 28, right?
Yep.
And also on Lincoln Avenue. Listen, I know that culvert well on Lincoln Avenue, and I think it's more on the curb line than the sidewalk.
Yeah.
People's driveway, people access their houses with their aprons in their driveways.
Yep.
I've seen some voids from the top,
So, Tom, you're saying, one, can you help me out, and we could talk offline more? Number one is the actual, because I walked through it, I've been in it. The one that goes down by the tire store and across, or is it by the bowling alley?
It's going to be more,
By the bowling alley?
it's going to be on the north side of 28, right? So it's going to be more where Williams ties into Filbert as it heads down
Okay.
to Route 28.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, just knowing that much, I always thought that was the weak link there.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, a lot of problem areas that you see or that are circled in black on the overall map, they're the typical areas in town that you know in town, right? So.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, none of this is shocking, right? These are...
No, it's not shocking, but you tasked us with trying to find out why we have issues.
No, I'm not being a wise guy.
No,
Yeah,
you're not.
yeah.
I know you're not. But
Sorry, Tom.
it's okay. I miss coming here, Mayor, I really do. But, yeah, so, I mean, up on the screen is a Google image of, priority number 1 area, 1 of 5 over by Filbert and Westfield, and basically where it says 1A, C, B, D, E, F, G, and H, those are the photo logs that are also on everyone's desk up there. So if you want to see, what the pipe looks like in that location. Listen, we have better digital copies. We have, these are just obviously printed PDFs, but we were given CDs and thumb drives from National Water Main of all the information that they acquired out doing their investigation.
Yeah.
So.
On 2A, Tom, I think I remember you guys were having an issue getting from one end to the other in that area. Didn't something was like not tied together? Does any of this ring a bell? Do you remember this, Andrew?
I don't recall on Lincoln. I thought it was more over by Clay Avenue and Birch
Maybe
and
the-
Cherry, but you guys can correct me if I'm wrong.
That was on Lincoln. If I'm,
Oh, there was, okay.
No, go ahead.
yeah, if I'm
Nice.
not mistaken, there was a gas pipe, like quite literally in the middle of the culvert, so they couldn't get the, so they used a wheeled robot with a camera on top of it to
Yep.
view inside of it.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. So they essentially used a wheeled robot to get inside of the actual culvert, and because the pipe was in quite literally the middle of it, they couldn't get it under or over, so they had to back out and then go through the other side.
Yeah, so using like that as an example, like, I know that we'll discuss all this, and I don't want to be here all night, but like, I'm assuming a gas pipe's not supposed to be running through that, or is that kosher? Okay, got it. So like, is that something we could like highlight to Elizabethtown and be like,
Yeah,
fix this?
absolutely correct. And listen, this is nothing new to them. This is standard in every one of their towns.
Yep.
Again, doesn't make it right, but we should bring them to the table and say, hey,
Sure.
listen, how can you help us out here? Right?
Yep,
So,
cool.
yeah, listen, again, we can talk at length forever, but
Yeah,
I just-
I think you guys get an overview. Do you have anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I have,
Yeah, go for it.
okay. I've been getting a lot of complaints on Colfax and Spruce.
Colfax and Spruce, yeah.
Okay, and I see it, you know,
What complaints are you getting, Councilman?
flooding, very bad flooding. And pretty much every time it rains, they even said the DPW brings barricades over there. And then lately, they've been bringing cones.
Is that a new flooding condition recently, or is
No,
that
it's been like that for a long, long time.
So you guys, not to interrupt you, Councilman, but you guys have that identified as priority 5,
we do?
Yeah.
right? As-
We do, but that doesn't mean we can't provide additional investigation to see what's going on there. I mean, I don't, is that in a FEMA flood zone area? I'm not quite sure. I didn't look at the FEMA map before I came here. But, sure.
Really quickly, is it along Spruce Street itself?
Right on the corner of Spruce and Colfax.
I think
The whole
it's
So
section-
Spruce and Colfax, so,
It's Colfax Avenue, especially.
okay.
So the one resident, they have basement windows, and it's ground level. So if they don't get the cones out there in time or the barricades, it floods, and when the people ride through, it actually goes down their cellar. So they've been on my case a lot about that.
Sorry. So, when we did the stormwater cleaning, it was actually found that the entire pipe down Spruce Avenue, or pardon me, down Spruce Street, was essentially filled with roots.
Okay.
So that could have been inhibiting all the stormwater flow, as well as the pipe itself is relatively flat. I want to say that's probably, I haven't looked at it recently, but I want to say there's only maybe a couple inches of height difference between the top and the bottom, so water could just be not flowing through it.
Gotta
fast
regrade
enough.
it.
So
Yeah.
hopefully the roots being cleared out helps it a little bit, but
Okay.
we would need to.
And
essentially-
5 truckloads of debris.
Yeah, we have
done,
5
right?
triaxles of material taken out throughout that part of the system. But I also want to tie this whole thing together. Listen, we're all familiar, hopefully now, with the municipal separate stormwater MS4 permit, which the town has, which we've been trying to get into compliance, to help the borough get into compliance. So we did GIS mapping and as-built mapping starting last year. So we have all the invert information or as-built information of the storm sewer facility. To Daniel's point, flat slopes, back pitch pipes, we can start doing hydraulic calculations and find drainage areas that actually go into that system to see maybe the pipe is undersized or maybe the slope is inadequate. How do we find ways to provide additional conveyance?
When did the actual cleaning happen?
It was, I would say November and December.
Yeah, so it might be interesting, Joe, just to see next time we get a big storm to see if it helped out at all.
I will.
I mean, either way, we should, it's on the list of things to do.
Correct.
But hopefully the cleaning maybe gave it a little bit of, better flow in the
Yeah, because I know
meantime.
that one resident's been complaining, he lives on Lincoln.
Yeah.
and Spruce.
Yeah.
And he says, but I told him, when I was a kid, I used to go swimming.
Oh, it's always been a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was just-
it's always been a problem.
And I'm talking 50 years ago, this was.
Yeah.
So,
It's always been a problem.
But I also tell them it's a county road, too.
It is a county road. Lincoln is anyway.
Lincoln, that's what.
But don't forget, if there's no improvements done down, that's the highest point of the part where we studied, right? So that's the upstream piece of it. If there's no improvements done downstream and there's issues downstream, that conveyance capacity is negatively affected. So the water that's upstream of that is going to have problems trying to discharge further down towards Route 28. So even though the problem might not be right at Spruce and Colfax, it could be downstream over there which has to be rectified or cleaned out, or bypass line or pipe replacement, which will allow the water to free flow from above it, if that makes sense.
Well, I know they've been also having some problems with sinkholes.
Yeah.
One resident on Lincoln, it actually was a big, and that's been going on for a couple of years. So I know that years ago, they just threw dirt in there to cover up. But
Standard practice.
And then actually his driveway actually sunk.
It started to go down, yeah. Well, don't forget, because what happens there is all the fines and the soil material starts to move and gets basically pushed out of there, so there's no more structural support of the base, so.
Okay, thank you.
But again, this all ties to the MS4 infrastructure and the permitting requirements, which the borough is responsible to take care of. So that all ties to the map we're putting together that we're assisting the borough with, and we will continue to do with, the annual report is due every May. We'll help provide borough assistance with that, and obviously with the information we have, we can also do hydraulic modeling to potentially investigate any other, low-lying areas or flooding areas where the borough may want to have reviewed and potentially, improvements implemented at that location.
Yep, cool.
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Sure, thank you. Tom, you said many of these issues are being caused by or involve other jurisdictions, including utility companies, state DOT. How confident, and you've mentioned this has been an issue in other municipalities as well, how confident are you that they'll take ownership of it and actually assist the municipality in getting it solved and not putting the onus on
Your mic's
Roselle?
off, by the way, Jay.
What's on?
I understand. I got your question.
Be on top of it like this.
Oh, yeah, go closer.
So,
Yeah.
there we go.
Want my true answer?
Here.
Not
Yeah.
very confident. Utility companies, listen, I've seen workmen, they took out some of the utilities and moved them further down the road. No issue at all. Other towns, it's been an issue trying to negotiate to get them to take care of that, where it's gotten threatened up to the legal level and lawsuit. So the DOT, I mean, we need to get them on board early if that's something the borough wants to do or have further investigate.
Yeah.
We all know those jurisdictions, kind of like ours, when we do our budget, they're 1, 2, 3 years out. So even though they say, hey, we'll look into it, and they say, we'll put money up for it, that's something that's not going to come anytime soon. They're 2, 3 years down the road. Those I feel a little more comfortable getting participation with than potentially the utility companies.
County too, maybe.
And the county too on Lincoln.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you for your,
But listen, if we don't ask, we definitely don't get anything.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
Hey, Jay, we could bring that up at the next NJDOT meeting.
you got that right.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
I mean, and then, again, this is just a broad overview. I mean, there's definitely more detail we can provide, but
No, this is great.
You
I
know.
think, as we go into budgeting season, some rough estimates and kind of that hit list, I think is probably the next thing that we need.
no problem. We'll continue to hit the ground running with it, and we'll provide more additional information as it comes.
Cool.
And if
Good
they have
work, guys. Thank you
Any
very
other
much for coming.
questions, you know where to reach me. All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Good to see everyone.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve meeting minutes pending any corrections?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion that bills and payrolls be not read and passed for payment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to open the public portion on agenda items only?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
May I motion to come up and speak? May do so now on agenda items.
Good evening. Oh, it's not perfect. Hello, how are you? Sorry, Cindy Mago, 433 Walnut Street. I am curious about Resolution 69 and 70, the professional services contract for 510 Chestnut Street, also known as the Board of Ed office. The Board of Education has not yet discussed nor voted on this, so just my input would be to not spend money on it until it's been approved by the Board of Ed.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple things. So there's two pieces to, and again, it's up to you guys to vote on whether or not you want to do it, right? And if you think it's a good deal, great. If not, it's not the end of the world. I will say,
Here, we haven't even had the discussion yet, so.
not going to get into a tit for tat on
Yeah.
this. It's up to you guys. But I can say, it's something that I've talked about since like the Lauren Harms days, right? So I would say holistically doing a study it's there forever, right? So whether you guys want to do it now, or somebody wants to do it 10 years from now, or whatever, it's there, it's enshrined. But I also think that there's going to be two pieces of the puzzle here, right? So as we've discussed, where does the borough get involved, right? So the borough does not get directly involved with the transaction. That's totally up to you guys. But the negotiation is going to be potentially with a developer that says, okay, well, to make this work, I need to be able to do X, Y, and Z. So if there's a study that says, well, you can only put a jungle gym there, right? Maybe it's not as attractive to a developer, right? So while I agree that this might be putting the cart before the horse, and, candidly, this might be something that doesn't come to fruition, that land is only as valuable as what you could do on it.
Correct.
So,
Yes.
so it's
Same
important.
for the Westfield Avenue.
Exactly. So that's the thing is, right? So there's a real world where, let's just say study comes back or councils comes back and says, we're only going to allow a one-story building there, right? The developer might say, thanks, but no thanks. I can't do anything there. Like, it's not worth the trade. So unfortunately, that's going to be a part of the calculus for them. And, we're putting this at risk as you guys might vote it down, but it's going to inform their decision, I would imagine. So does that make sense?
It does.
Yep.
I mean, it was just my suggestion, just to at least wait until after it was
No,
discussed.
it does look funny doing it in tandem, but you have to think about, right, like, again, this Borough Hall, right, if we just sell it and say, well, you can only put a Trader Joe's here because everybody wants a Trader Joe's, then it's worth one. Yeah, right, yeah, I would love one too. Then it's worth one.
They don't want to be here.
Yes, sadly, I don't know. But we do have a cool new coffee shop coming in. I was actually, should check out the sign on Chestnut
Same.
Street. But too many coffee shops now. Again, like if we zone, for the record, I'm not saying we should do this. If we zone a 10-story apartment building here, then the land is worth way more. So that's going to factor into the negotiations there.
Okay,
Cool.
fair enough.
Thank you. Anyone else? I am seeing no one. May I have a motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. May I have a motion to accept the reports of departments as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Please read ordinance number 2806 by title.
Yes, Mayor, ordinance 2806 is an ordinance for second reading and public hearing, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2802, fixing the salary ranges of non-union employees and officials of the Borough of Roselle Park and the County of Union, State of New Jersey.
May I have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance number 2806?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would like to come up and speak on this ordinance? I'm seeing no one. May I have a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance number 2806?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance number 2806?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? I am seeing none. Please call the roll.
Councilman Petrosky?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilman Signorello?
Yes.
Councilman Urbina?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lyons?
Yes.
Councilman Patel?
Yes.
So it's in the affirmative, Mayor, the ordinance is adopted.
Okay, please read ordinance number 2807 by title.
Yes, Mayor, ordinance 2807 is an ordinance for second reading and public hearing, an ordinance amending Chapter 16 of the Code of the Borough of Roselle Park entitled Building and Construction, establishing a Section 2 entitled Lead-Based Paint Inspections.
May I have a motion to open the public portion on ordinance number 2807?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to come up and speak on ordinance number 2807. I'm seeing no one. May I have a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance number 2807?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance number 2807?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilman Petrosky?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilman Signorello?
Yes.
Councilman Urbina?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lyons?
Yes.
Councilman Patel?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, Mayor, the ordinance is adopted.
Okay, please read ordinance number 2808 by title.
Yes, Mayor, ordinance 2808 is an ordinance for introduction, an ordinance amending Chapter 40, Section 3303 of the Code of the Borough of Roselle Park entitled Affordable Housing Programs with specific amendments to paragraph B entitled Affordable Housing Set-Aside Requirement for Residential Development, including areas in need of redevelopment or rehabilitation.
May I have a motion to approve ordinance number 2808 for introduction and refer it to the Municipal Land Use Board for statutory review and fix the date for second reading and public hearing as March 20th, 2025?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Greg, you want to talk about what this is?
Yeah, I could talk about it.
Go for it.
So, yeah, my thoughts about this, the reason why I put this up front is, my thoughts about this is I wanted to show the courts in good faith that that we're trying to comply with affordable housing since we're in stage 4, and by increasing it from 15 to 20%, makes Roselle Park a little bit more defensible against builders' remedy lawsuits. So I'm just trying to help mitigate that before any developer get too cute.
Sounds good.
That was a good summary of it. Any further discussion?
That's good.
Okay, please call the roll, Andrew.
Councilman Petrosky.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Councilman Signorello.
Yes.
Councilman Robina.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lyons.
Yes.
Councilman Patel.
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, Mayor. The ordinance is introduced.
Okay, all matters listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the governing body so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda as part of the general orders. Andrew, please read all resolutions by title.
Yes, Mayor. Resolution 6725 is establishing the 2025 summer hour schedule for Borough Hall. Resolution 6825 is accepting the resignation of April McNeil from the position of Parking Enforcement Officer. Resolution 6925 is awarding a professional services contract to the Neglia Group for professional planning services associated with the non-condemnation redevelopment study of Block 504, Lot 6 of the municipal tax map, commonly known as 510 Chestnut Street, with all streets and rights-of-way pertinent thereto in an amount not to exceed $8,000. Resolution 7025 is awarding a professional services contract to McManaman, Scotland and Bauman LLC for redevelopment council services associated with the non-condemnation redevelopment study of Block 504, Lot 6 of the municipal tax map, commonly known as 510 Chestnut Street, with all streets and rights-of-way pertinent thereto in an amount not to exceed $6,500. Resolution 7125 is terminating the professional services contract with consulting and municipal engineers for the preparation of a redevelopment plan for Block 606, lots 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 36.01, and 38 of the municipal tax map, commonly known as 112 Locust Street, 101 West Westfield Avenue, 105 West Westfield Avenue, 111 West Westfield Avenue, 115 West Westfield Avenue, 121 West Westfield Avenue, 129 West Westfield Avenue, 133 West Westfield Avenue, 147 West Westfield Avenue, and 159 West Westfield Avenue, along with all streets and rights-of-way pertinent thereto. Resolution 7225 is awarding a professional services contract to the Neglia Group for professional planning services associated with the preparation of a redevelopment plan for all the things I just read, along with all streets and the rights-of-way pertinent thereto, in an amount not to exceed $17,750. Resolution 7325 is authorizing the Borough Clerk to auction unclaimed vehicles. Resolution 7425 is authorizing change order number 1 to Portofino Builders LLC for the Project 2024 Capital Road Program in the amount of a $22,008.52 increase to reflect a total contract amount of $519,670.77 after all change orders. Resolution 7525 is authorizing the donation of 1 phone booth to the Borough of Kenilworth. Resolution 7625 is granting conditional approval of the application submitted by Veritas MFG LLC for a local Class II cannabis manufacturer license. Resolution 7725 is authorizing submission of the 2025 Union County Infrastructure and Municipal Aid Grant. Resolution 7825 is authorizing the First Amendment to a settlement agreement between the Borough of Roselle Park and the City of Elizabeth. Resolution 7925 is authorizing the Treasurer to issue 3 checks totaling $6,214.63 payable to one lien holder on 3 properties, and 3 checks totaling $2,000 from the tax collector's premium account. Resolution 80-25 is rescinding resolution number 22324, directing the Municipal Land Use Board to review a draft redevelopment plan for Block 606, lots 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 3601, and 38 of the municipal tax map of the Borough of Roselle Park, commonly known as 112 Locust Street, 101 West Westfield Avenue, 105 West Westfield Avenue, 111 West Westfield Avenue, 115 West Westfield Avenue, 121 West Westfield Avenue, 129 West Westfield Avenue, 133 West Westfield Avenue, 147 West Westfield Avenue, and 159 West Westfield Avenue, along with all streets and rights-of-way pertinent thereto as a non-condemnation area needed redevelopment pursuant to the local redevelopment housing law, NJSA 48:12A-1 et sec. Resolution 8125 is authorizing a payment plan for the remaining sewer connection fees and residential development fees associated with Building B of the redevelopment project located at Block 610, Lots 3.01 of the municipal tax map, commonly known as 10 West Westfield Avenue. And Resolution 8225 is appointing Leonard R. Dolan as Fire Subcode Official and UCC Fire Inspector.
Okay, I am pulling 7825 and 8025. Are we pulling anything else?
7625?
Mm-hmm.
And 6825.
Okay,
I got, sorry, 69,
69.
71.
Yeah,
We did 676, right?
Yes.
yep,
So
Yep.
78,
It's pulled.
80, and 81.
76.
So the ones, anyone else? So just to review, the ones that are pulled are 68, 69, 71, 76, 78, 80, and 81.
yeah, that's what I got.
Okay.
Anything else? Not a lot left on consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the resolutions remaining on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. May I have a motion to adopt Resolution 6825?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mayor. I want to thank April for her service to Roselle Park. I had issues on Sheridan Avenue, and she was always very helpful. A lot of people dropping their kids off was blocking the driveway, and a lot of my neighbors were complaining. And I thought she did an excellent job, and I'm very sorry to see her go. But I know she got a full-time job, and I'm happy that she got the full-time job. That's all.
Anybody else?
I just want to say I wish her the best too. We had some pretty deep conversations even in all that she did, but definitely wish her the best.
Mayor, I would like to say a couple things too. I just wanted to say I thank her and I appreciate her as well. She had a very tough job, trying to be out there mitigating the traffic conditions. Sometimes people don't want to accept accountability, and oftentimes she could come out appearing like the bad guy. But at the end of the day, I know she was doing her job. I've been in the law enforcement field, so I just wanted to give her kudos, and you will be missed, April.
Anybody else?
She was tough and fair. Good luck.
She's going to be full-time park enforcement, so she didn't really give it up.
Oh, yeah.
All right, call the roll.
Councilman Petrosky.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Councilman Signorello.
Yes.
Councilman Urbina.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lyons.
Yes.
Councilman Patel.
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, Mayor. The resolution is adopted.
May I have a motion to adopt Resolution 69-25?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I mean, mine is 69, 70. It's kind of both.
Sure.
So if
Can
you wanna,
I move to do
Yeah,
both at the same time? Lawyer, Andrew?
Just do the one. You
It's
already
too late. We
moved
already
it.
did the
That's
one.
fine.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
So as far as like for 70, are you gonna explain the whole thing? You might just answer all my questions.
Yeah, so, I mean, I will explain the borough piece of this,
Yeah.
right? So, there is it's a very desirable area, right? So as I mentioned, the Board of Education building is, since I got elected mayor, not with these Board of Ed members, but with a lot of Board of Ed members, I've been speaking about potentially, it's not a great utilization of that area, right? I mean, you're right by the train station. It's great. Obviously, you want something in the center of town, but, ideally, you want something, if you're going to be, we're going to talk about tonight how we have to build more affordable housing as a state mandate, right? You were away while we got this, but we got our number of having to do more affordable housing units. If you're going to do it, you want to do it in the center of town by the train station. Be a nice area for a mixed-use place. You have sort of ground-level retail and, a couple levels of affordable housing up top. It fits in with the area because there's other apartments there. So this study is to study as to whether or not it warrants or is eligible for a redevelopment plan and redevelopment agreement. And that's one piece of what, if the Board of Ed's going to make a land swap, right? Because the proposal right now is that there is a office building that no longer is going to house Class 5 cannabis. I got yelled at to do something for the kids there, and one of the proposals is to potentially put, from my understanding, is Board of Ed offices there, and it could also potentially, the size of it could do up to 3 pre-K classes. We're sending kids from Roselle Park right now, I believe, to Cranford for pre-K, right? So there is a need for more pre-K space within the borough of Roselle Park. So this would be a piece of the puzzle to basically say, is there a development project that's available there, right? What can a developer do? And then the Board of Ed can decide whether or not they want to do a land swap, and the developer also needs to decide whether or not he or she even wants to do something there, right? Because, again, there's a whole lot of factors in there. How much does it cost to acquire the land? How many affordable housing units they have to do? Right now, it's 20%. How many units they can put, how big it can be, if we put any stipulations on on any of the project, right? So if we say, you got to build a Rick Barry statue, right? That's going to cost him $250K, and that factors into the equation. Anybody get that? That was good. You guys can laugh now. You can laugh at that one. If you want to put a Mayor Signorello statue, that's going to cost
Word of the day, cute.
That's going to cost something. So we are not involved in any transaction, but we are involved with saying what can be zoned there. So this is us saying, we're going to get the planner involved, they're going to suggest what can be zoned there, and we're going to give our feedback as mayor and council. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that answers most of it. So do we have a developer that has inquired about this property?
I believe that there has been one that's contacted the Board of Ed. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Not public commentary, but I don't know. If there is one, no, there is one. I don't know the developer. Yeah.
Okay. So I guess you don't know the plans.
No. The plans are up to us.
Okay.
I mean, have you been part of a redevelopment plans thus
I know.
far, right? We're rescinding one of them now, right?
Yeah.
You know, we talked about one. Do we want to put hotels there? Do we not want to put hotels there? Do we want to put residential there? Do we not put it? So we will have a planner's going to come say. They're going to come say, Mayor, we think you could, or Mayor and Council, we think you could do X, Y, and Z. And then we're going to say, cool, we only want to do X and Y.
Okay. And so we have to wait for the Board of Ed to kind of get that approval.
So could I just
Sure.
interject real quick?
Yeah.
So what Resolution 6925 does is it authorizes a study of that property.
Yep.
What that redevelopment study does is the planner, supported by redevelopment council, would review the property against the statutory provisions of what qualifies a redevelopment area. If it meets any of those qualifications, it's then up to the governing body, and there's the process that goes to the land use board to designate it the area. The next step would then be discussing what would zone for that property. What would the redevelopment plan, what would be the plan for that property?
Okay.
Right,
so
and
I'm
that's when I think you'd probably have a more iterative process about what would be going there.
Right, so I'm skipping a step, right? So there's going to be a study as to whether or not it's eligible. Fran, you want to come up? Sure. Just keep me honest here, right? It's a study to see whether or not it's eligible, which, who knows?
I have a question too.
Yeah, sure.
Could it also be a part of the plan, a part of our plan to help mitigate certain problems? I mean, that we could talk offline, but
No, 100%.
I think
Yeah.
that's important.
So it's a very good question, right? So Greg, you're hitting on something. So we got to, Fran, I'll let you talk in a minute, but now I'm on a roll. To your point, Greg, you were away, and Kanjan, you were away. Last meeting, we also made Neglia start working on a affordable housing plan, right? We don't know exactly how many affordable housing units we owe, but we know we owe a max of 70, right? We're going to try and get that down to 50-ish, right? But let's just say, I'm just using simple math here, right? Let's just say we okay 10 apartments there. There will be required to do 2 affordable units, and that would count towards our 50 or 60 or 70, which we are obliged to make, right? So I get it. I read Facebook. I know people are sick of apartments, but like, we're going to have to do more affordable housing. Like, it's a state mandate. It is what it is, right? Fran, keep me honest on any of that stuff.
Okay, Fran McManaman, Scotland and Bauman. We serve as redevelopment council to the borough. So as the mayor mentioned and Andrew mentioned, this is the very first step in the process of redevelopment. Under the redevelopment law, a municipality is required to authorize a study to be done to find out if it even meets the criteria to be designated as a redevelopment area. So that's what this step would be. And then, as you're familiar, once that study comes back, the council will have an opportunity to vote and find out. It goes to the land use board, and then the council council will have the opportunity to vote as to whether they want to designate the area a redevelopment area. And then the next step in that process would be to adopt a redevelopment plan. That's sort of what we're getting into here, a little bit farther down the field here, is that a redevelopment plan is what would tell everyone what could be done, not necessarily what would be done, but what could be done on the property. So if you want mixed use, if you want residential, what the density would be, what the height limitations would be, all of that, the affordable housing requirements, all of that would be incorporated into a redevelopment plan that would come before council twice, introduction for ordinance and then final adoption, and again, go to the land use boards. There'd be many opportunities for council input and also public input in a redevelopment plan.
Thank you.
So if you want to request the Rick Barry statue at any point, you'll have plenty of bites
I'd
of the
rather
apple
have
to
you.
do that. Okay, is there any further questions, Councilman?
No.
Okay, cool. Any other further discussion?
6925, right? Nope.
Correct.
69, just 6925 right now.
Jesus.
Yeah. Okay, call the roll.
Councilman Petrosky.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Councilman Signorella.
Yes.
Councilman Robina.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lyons.
Yes.
Councilman Patel.
No.
5 votes in the affirmative, 1 in the negative. The resolution is adopted.
Okay, may I have a motion to adopt Resolution 71-25?
Oh, so moved. I'm sorry.
All good.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Is there anything you didn't?
No.
Okay, all right. So I'm seeing none. Call the roll.
Councilman Petrosky.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Councilman Signorella.
Yes.
Councilman Robina.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lyons.
Yes.
Councilman Patel.
No.
5 votes in the affirmative, 1 in the negative. The resolution is adopted.
Okay, may I have a motion to adopt Resolution 76-25?
So moved.
71.
Second. I thought we
Oh,
were gonna
did I skip one? Oh, whoops, my bad.
Which one?
No, you did 71.
I did 71.
That was 71.
No, we didn't.
No,
We
you
did
did
70. We did 70.
69 and 70.
We did 69 and 70.
Oh, I skipped
71 next
I skipped 71?
I had 71 as the one that was pulled. I had 68, 69, 71, 76, 78, 80, and 81.
All right.
So I had,
70 and
you just moved and voted on 71.
Okay, do we want to go back and vote on 70? Whatever.
Do you want to reconsider 70?
Do I have-
You just need a motion to reconsider.
A motion to
Anyone can.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
I got you.
All right, then you need a roll call on reconsideration.
Call the
So
roll.
this is on reconsidering 70. Councilman Petrosky?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilman Signorella?
Yes.
Councilman Robina?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lyons?
Yes.
Councilman Patel?
Yes.
All right, so reconsideration is basically like the vote never happened, so now you need now you need a motion to adopt 70.
Okay, I have a motion to adopt Resolution 70-25.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll. I don't know why you pulled it either.
Councilman Petrosky?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilman Signorella?
Yes.
Councilman Robina?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lyons?
Yes.
Councilman Patel?
We just
All
wanted
right, that makes sense.
We wanted to make you sweat it out.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
That makes more sense.
Okay, may I have a motion to adopt Resolution 76-25?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? So I want to start off discussion here, just because, look, I only vote in a tie. This is up to council, but I do want to say I'm personally in support of this. I know cannabis has been controversial in the borough. I think I've been clear that this is a Class 2 use, which means manufacturing, which means it's in an area where nobody's going to be able to go up and buy anything. There's not going to be a lot of foot traffic. There's just going to be people manufacturing product in there and shipping out product, and we will get 2% of that revenue, which, from my understanding, these things can fetch, $2 to $5 million in revenue. Slap 2% on that. That's meaningful. As we're going through budget season right now, I can tell you every dollar counts. But that's my 2 cents on it. And I'll open up discussion for the rest of the council if need be.
Yeah, Mayor, if I may, I just need to abstain.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. I was just gonna ask, how many variants will they need as far as?
Ooh, I don't know. I wish Rich was here.
Yeah, so you're not going to know. That's just a question you're not going to know. So I mean, they would need to go to the board regardless, even if they meet all other zoning, because it's a conditional use. So they have to go to the board for site plan approval. But it'll depend on the type of building they're going to build, right? You need different variants if they're going for and I have no idea of this, but to use the mayor's example, if they're going to build a 10-story building there, or if you're going to build a 1-story building there, or if it's going to be of a certain dimension or of certain lot size or lot coverage, it's going to be completely dependent on what they're going to propose in terms of a building. Or if they're going to use the same building, you don't know how many variances.
But look, I can say, I have a rough idea, having walked the area, right? My understanding is they're not going to be building on top of the building. It'll be a retrofit of the existing building, right? So there's one business in there, right? My understanding is they would sort of bifurcate the inside, and the cannabis business would operate on one side, and the existing glass blowing business would operate on the other, right? I'm not speaking for the applicant, but that's my broad understanding.
And then as far as like, are they in a school zone? Because I know it has to be.
Yeah, I believe they're in a school zone. I forget the exact legalities, but there's
1,500 feet, I think it's supposed to be from the
100
school.
feet from parks, 1,000 feet.
Oh, 1,000.
Yeah, I mean, they're in a school zone, right? I mean, we've litigated this in the past, right? Like, there is state law or whatever law that this is doable, right? We've had this controversy come up before. Lawyer?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, got it, thank you. That's good. That's a good lawyer right there. Yes. Yeah, I mean, look, I grew up in this town. I don't really consider it like on that side of the tracks exactly a school zone, but you guys, it's up to you.
So
Ultimately, if you want to approve it or not.
Technically, like we can, even if it's in the zone, we could still pass it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing is our local ordinance requires, what was it? I think we did 1,000 feet
Yeah.
locally, right? Yeah, but
I think from school we won 1,500.
Yeah.
That's what I just said, 1,500.
okay, whatever. I don't. I don't.
1,500 to increase it.
Why you listen to
But
correct-
basically,
Additional buffer.
but you guys do I mean, we've had this happen before, right? So we've passed a Class 5 use, and the Land Use Board, in its mighty power, actually rejected it, right? So it's up to this mayor and council to say, we think that they qualify for the license, and then it's up to the Land Use Board whether or not it's an appropriate area. So, it's up to you guys.
If I could, Councilman, so to answer your question, if it is within whatever the parameters are, 1,000, 1,500 feet,
It would be a variance.
it would be a variance they would need to seek to the board.
So that would be at least one variance we know about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, and if they weren't granted that variance or weren't given approval, then the point is moot, right? They don't gain unconditional approval.
Got it. And then I guess I don't know much about a manufacturer, so will there be like is there like smell, like the smell come out when they're doing is it through chemicals or when they're growing? Because there's houses right next to it.
Yeah, so I can speak in broad strokes just because I don't know who on council did this. It was before your time. We actually went to go visit before we did Breakwater, their sort of operations. I can't speak. So there are statewide regulations of HVAC systems and whatever else you need to do. There's also local safety regulations that we're going to impose. But what I can say is, from my personal experience going to these things, right? Like you can't smell outside, you would never know. And honestly, it's for anybody
Manufacturer.
for the manufacturing, yeah. And for anybody who's smelt, manufactured marijuana in the process of getting manufactured, it smells like Christmas trees. It smells very different after it's processed, but while it's actually, in its raw form, it doesn't smell like the stinky smell that you smell when it's smoking. But there are, there's DRC DCA statewide regulations.
There's statewide regulations. There's also the local regulations in the ordinance that we built in specifically when the ordinance was being written and drafted to mitigate that concern, because it was a concern that came up during the crafting of allowing a Class 2 licensee, and one of it was, is there spillover smell on the street or on neighboring properties? And there's certain ventilation requirements and filtration requirements that they would need to abide by.
Got it. And then the last question would be what about the traffic and parking? Like, is there a big staff that they?
I can talk about. I can talk about what we had the Cannabis Review Board. I know you're working today, but one of the applicants came by and they basically said they're going to have 5 employees. So it's going to be the 5, employees that are there. The neighboring building, Hexacon, they share parking with. So my understanding is that they have an agreement with Hexacon whereby the parking should be okay. So I don't think that's going to be a massive issue, right? I mean, I would say, obviously it's manufacturing, right? So you'd have occasionally shipments go in and out, but candidly, that's part of why we zoned for that in the industrial area, is because it is the industrial area, right? You have Hexacon that builds soldering irons there, that ships out soldering irons. You have printing shops that, print out bulk printing there. So it's awkward because we're in Roselle Park and it's an industrial zone right by residential, but there is industrial manufacturing that's there.
Got it. And then, I haven't gotten a chance to ask the residents in that area how they feel, so I wouldn't support this, and that's all I have.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, I just want to say, this is a huge concern to me. It's around the block from Robert Gordon. So to me, even though that it's manufacturer, security is a concern. This is just a small town. And having it be in the middle of our town and right next door, literally to people and across the street, is just a huge concern. So consider very wisely how we need to vote here. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Please call the roll.
Councilman Petrosky.
No.
Councilman Johnson. Councilman Signorello.
No.
Councilman Rabina.
No.
Councilwoman Lyons.
No.
Councilman Patel.
No.
5 votes to the negative, 1 abstention. The resolution is not adopted.
Okay, may I have a resolution to adopt 78-25?
A motion.
A motion to adopt 78-25.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Andrew, do you just want to give an update as to what's going on here?
Sure. So the substance of this amendment that would be authorized by this resolution is purely financial. So the Borough of Roselle Park, as everybody remembers, authorized a settlement agreement with the City of Elizabeth due to the sewer interconnection issue. As part of that settlement agreement, we have an 11-year period to pay back $4 million in arrears use of their system. Pursuant to that settlement agreement. One payment was made on July 1st of last year in the amount of about $366,000, right? 1/11th of the amount, which leaves a balance of about 3.6 million and change. As everybody else, as we also know, the borough was lucky enough to obtain operating aid from the state of New Jersey to help offset this issue and the destabilization of the sewer utility. So we approached the City of Elizabeth with hopes of gaining new financial terms and doing an upfront payment. With some legal wrangling and some creative negotiation, we were able to have the City of Elizabeth agree, and this resolution is also subject to their ratification, that instead of having a balance of 3.6 million and change that we need to pay the City of Elizabeth, that amount drops over $1 million to 2.6 million. They would get that money now as opposed to over the next 10 years. It's beneficial to the City of Elizabeth because bank accounts bear interest, and it's beneficial to us because the Borough of Roselle Park is no worse for the wear in terms of what the ratepayers would have to pay. We would use $2.6 million in operating aid to pay the full amount and not have to pay Elizabeth anything except for the quarterly payment of the meter below Galloping Hill Road at the interconnection point until the time that we separate from the system within the next several years. Candidly, it's from what was a very unfortunate situation. This is a good deal, and I highly recommend that this be approved. The other, because I'm sure the question will get asked, what are we going to do with the other $400,000 in operating aid for the sewer utility? We're also going to use to stabilize the fund. It's a very good result from a very bad situation that the borough
What does that
was
mean
in.
for the ratepayer?
It doesn't mean anything yet, other than the fact that the rates will be stabilized. Currently, we're crunching. Everybody's question is, well, what's my bill going to look like?
A lot less.
It will be a lot less. It will be much more stable. It will be very comparable to what it was prior to this incident, prior to the legal dispute. At this point, we have the last quarter of last year's water consumption. The finance department is going through that and crunching the numbers. Ultimately, that plus our assessments from the sewer authorities, like we would any other year, all those numbers put together will come out with the bills based on usage. So hope to have that in the next few weeks to a month. But by doing this, you take significant dollars that we owe off the table.
Huge.
Is there any chance in the future, once you figure out the numbers, that they get a credit or a refund if they paid extra last year?
No. So I think there's been a lot of discussion about this, and I thought I made it clear last year, but I'm happy to explain. So there was a chance that we could have, if we got it in the fiscal year, the financial aid in the fiscal year last year, we could have sent a refund, potentially for the second payment, or avoided the second payment. That's why we kind of waited till the absolute last minute to do it. We're in a new fiscal year, so, this isn't, it's not, I'm not being a wise guy, but it's not Best Buy where you have a 90-day return policy, right? You have to give that in or out within the fiscal year. But it's money in, money out, right? So I'll give you an example. So if we gave everybody a refund last year, then there'd be less money to apply to the bill this year, right? So it's basically I'll make something up, right? So, let's just say my bill was $300. George knows it's cheaper than that, but let's just, for easy numbers, let's say it was $300. If I got a refund for $150, the borough still owes that $150, right? That means that we were using the emergency funds for a refund instead of paying down the bill this year. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Really?
The state aid is finite.
Okay.
Right? So if we used $500,000 of the state aid last year, then that's less state aid we could use this year, and that means the rate would have been slightly higher this year, right?
So could I also just make
Did I make more sense the second time around? Okay. Good.
I'm going to try to be more direct. I'm usually not the one that's more direct. It's the state is not going to want us to use the $3 million for refunds, directly for refunds. If we were able to apply it to the operating from last year, during last year, then we would be paying our own money back to the ratepayers, right? But that's not ultimately what happened. We literally didn't get this money until I think December 30th.
Yeah, which is why we were really pushing to get it in last year for this exact reason.
And just to make it concrete, I know the finance committee is in the throes of crafting this year's budget, but the borough did put additional surplus monies toward the sewer utility last year to try to offset what was already a bad increase, right? So, and the governing body knows this, right? You put surplus in with hopes to at least regenerate it back so that you always have that fund to kind of lessen the burden on the ratepayer or the taxpayer. Last year, I'll use rough numbers, we put $600,000 toward the sewer utility surplus, $600,000 in surplus to offset the sewer utility, and we only regenerated $400,000. So we were already behind, and part of that is because people couldn't pay. Right? It was a bad situation, right? So to pay people back is it's both budgetarily and from an auditing practice, it's impossible because it's not really legal or practical to do.
If we got it November 5th, it would have been a different story.
We don't have the money to do it.
But again, I mean, I think what people need to understand is if you were going to get a $100 credit last year or refund, that $100 that you're getting that you would have got last year is going to make your rate lower this year, right? So it's still going to impact your bill. It's just you're not getting a check back. You're getting a credit essentially put forward for this bill. Make sense?
Yep, got it.
Can I just say, two things. Thank God that we had, that you and everyone that worked towards that. It's really a miracle. We have to look at that and be very grateful for that, and I really am. But the other thing I have to say is that it was such bad, not on your part, Mayor, at all, but the communication and how it was said, it was almost saying you're going to get something back, and I guess people understood it a certain way, but now saying it because I actually sat in with the budget meeting last week, and the way that he's not here right now.
No, Ken's not here. He had a personal thing.
Yeah, the way he explained it is you're saying it's, I guess in the budget, right?
Yep.
It closed out last year.
Yep.
But people need to understand going forward that it's not a refund,
Yeah.
but
It's a credit
credit of
that's
some
going
sort.
into this year. Yeah, you're not going to see a check back, but you'll know that
Yeah.
your rate's much less than it was last year because that money's going towards this year. And
It's just hard,
yeah,
you know?
no, it sucks. Yeah, but I think everybody. So there's two things this year that I think people will be pleasantly surprised by. So the one is. Well, let me say, if I miscommunicated that, I'll take personal responsibility for it. I potentially should have been clearer in saying, I mean, look, I worked my butt off to try and get refunds for you guys last year. I really did. We were on yelling at the state to the best of our ability, right?
Thank God you did,
Yeah,
yes. Applaud
but it was frustrating because they had the money for us. They just didn't transfer the money. So when I said we were going to do refunds, it was because I was expecting it to happen in that fiscal year. I did not. I mean, because in the budget, it says for 2024 state aid, right? So you figure they can get it to us by 2024.
Right.
Unfortunately, we didn't come through on that, but you will get the relief in another way. But I take responsibility for that. If you could have gotten a check back last year, you can't get that this year, but it will go towards lowering your rate this year. No, it's not public portion. The other piece is we've also rejiggered the way that we take your rates, right? So we
Yes.
only do it during the winter months, right? So for those of you people who have got absolutely whacked because you have a pool and because you water your grass, you will see a much more reasonable rate in line with the sewage that you actually use because it's just going to be taken when you take a shower, Jerry. It's not going to be when you, yeah. Okay, any further discussion there? I mean, I think it's the whole situation sucks, but I'm glad that at the end of the day, the lawyer got another $500,000 or so knocked off for us. Million. Wow, I undersold that. Great. Okay, call the roll.
Councilman Petrosky.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Councilman Signorella.
Yes.
Councilman Robina.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lyons.
Yes.
Councilman Patel.
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, Mayor. The resolution is adopted.
Oh, man, we're trudging through this. Okay, may I have a motion to adopt Resolution 80-25?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Fran, you just want to come up for a sec? So the quick one is, and Fran, just keep me honest here. There is a interested developer in over by, what do they call it now? Casa del Rey. They changed it again. They call it the Westfield or something. So the property over next to that, there was a developer that was interested in doing something with it, right? We talked about hotels. We talked about residential. We decided on no residential. Fran covering our backs, knowing that we have a obligation to do for affordable housing. It's probably not the best look at the moment, right? I'm being as diplomatic as I can be. But the developer does understand that we are very hesitant and, not interested in doing a ton of residential there. We have talked about doing 55 plus and senior housing. They are willing to come back to the table and do senior housing, which I think is great because we've promised doing that for a very long time. And I think that's a better use than we won't do hotels, Ro. So what we're going to do is rescind this, right? And then we will take it from here, Fran.
Sure. Fran McManaman, Scotland and Bauman, Redevelopment Council to the Borough. So on September 5th, 2024, the Borough Council adopted Resolution Number 22324, which directed the Land Use Board to review the redevelopment plan for a designated redevelopment area. The borough has reviewed that draft redevelopment plan and determined that they want to narrow the scope of the project and eliminate some of the uses that were in that plan. So rather than send it to the land use board, have the back and forth that sometimes happens with the land use board, they make recommendations, it comes back here. The administration has determined to rescind that resolution, so it's not, that redevelopment plan is not going to go to the land use board to be reviewed, and there is a new planner who's putting together a new plan incorporating the new vision for that area.
Yeah. Does that, go ahead. Yeah, no, I think it's a good result at the end of the day, right? And we were clamoring for senior housing. It's not a bad location for senior housing, and we'll get some senior housing finally. Real quick, Fran, one question I have, because I think I need to talk to the planner tomorrow. What's interesting is, well, I guess I don't think the ordinance is going to be passed by the time we do anything, but would they be beholden, and if you need to do research on this, go for it. Would they be beholden to the former 15% or the upcoming ordinance whereby we're requiring 20% for affordable housing?
I would say I would say 20%, because there's no agreement with them at all. There's
Right.
nothing on the books.
Got it.
Yeah, this
Good.
is like, we're starting from square one now, so
Okay, cool.
20%.
I think that's a result everybody was hoping for.
Yeah,
Helps us with those numbers.
sure.
Cool. Any questions for Fran? Okay, cool. Please call the roll.
Councilman Petrosky?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilman Signorello?
Yes.
Councilman Urbina?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lyons?
Yes.
Councilman Patel?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, Mayor. The resolution is adopted.
Oh, we're almost done. Okay, resolution, can I please have a motion to pass resolution 80-25?
So moved.
81.
Waiting.
81. Thank you, guys. I'm losing it. Can I have a motion to pass 81-25?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, well, as far as the payment plan, are they gonna get their CO since they're gonna be on a payment plan?
Andrew?
So they would be able to get their TCO. They will not have their CO until they're fully paid.
What's the difference?
So a temporary certificate of occupancy can be revoked. TCO, there's certain conditions the construction official can put on it. He could only do certain floors, only the common areas.
They also can't refinance till they have a CO.
Yeah.
So it's in their interest.
They don't have permanent approval of the project until they have a certificate of occupancy.
Got it.
So,
And then-
so they're paying, I only know so much about development, but they're paying 20% interest rate right now based on their construction loan. Usually when a developer gets done, they switch to a different kind of loan. I'm a little bit over my skis. So they always want to get that final CO because they want to stop paying 20% interest. So I would say there's a lot, not the least of which being we could revoke it. But normally in these situations, they want to get that, they're going to pay this because they want the CO very quickly.
So if they, yeah, basically if they don't pay it, then
We could revoke the, yeah, we could revoke the TCO. Yep.
Got it. And then same thing goes if they pay late and all those other.
I'll defer to Andrew, but
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
believe so.
Okay.
It would be a contractual violation, right, at that point.
Do we put any like interest or anything since we're doing it like on a payment plan?
No, I mean, the terms are exactly stipulated in the resolution, so there's no interest, they're going to pay in the same year that it would be due.
Yeah, how many, I forgot, how long is it?
So
3, 6
for,
months?
so for the sewer connection fee, it's 4 equal installments.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the residential development fee, it's 6 equal installments
And how many, in 6 months?
within 6 months, beginning July 16th.
Okay.
And then for the sewer connection fee, it's at the, I believe it's at the time that they apply for the TCO, which we're anticipating mid-year.
Good, cool. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilman Petrosky?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilman Signorello?
Yes.
Councilman Urbina?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lyons?
Yes.
Councilman Patel?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, Mayor. The resolution is adopted.
Okay. May I have a motion to open the public portion on any subject matter?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody wishing to come up and speak on any subject matter may do so now. Yep. Thank you, Fran.
Thanks,
Yep.
Fran.
Yep.
Hello.
Hey,
Constance Quintella, 432 Walnut Street.
can you just a little closer to the mic, Constance?
Sure.
Yep.
Okay, so more questions about the
Board of Ed,
Board of Ed building.
your building?
Our, partially our building. So we have at least, obviously, we don't speak for the entire Board of Ed, but we do have a third of the members sitting here tonight. None of us which have heard anything about that building being for sale. In fact, first notion of it being swapped was a lovely Facebook article, which sounded very positive. It was very nice from you
Yeah.
this weekend.
Yeah.
I know you had said it has been up for discussion since Lauren Harms was here.
Yep.
Which I had actually heard. Was there any positive feedback from any of the board members prior to this year?
Yeah, I would say, naming names, I would say Lauren, Paul Biamonte, and I actually all discussed this,
I believe both of them said it was an absolute no, correct?
No, that's not at all true. I mean, if they can play revisionist history right now, but
Okay.
we've talked specifically, as a matter of fact, I think Paul had a developer in mind. you know?
Okay. Just out of curiosity, why, if there were positive discussions for the past 4 years, why did you pick now to send someone to study the building?
Yeah, because there's an available building now, right? So I don't think that there's been a couple thoughts where, like I'll give you an example. So the Romorowski building, they're legally obliged to give us office space there, right? So actually when Patricia first Superintendent Goyce first got put in, we had spoken about
Right, you had
offering
very nicely offered us
offering that up.
space,
Yeah,
correct.
unfortunately, the museum wants it real bad, so that's not available. Actually, I believe we even talked about potentially putting preschool there, but for obvious reasons, the
Smaller space,
parking's
right.
a nightmare.
Work out.
Yeah. So it had happened. I mean, I think it's right now is the culmination. I mean, candidly, right? So it was supposed to be potentially a Class 5
Right.
distribution. Now it is
So
in.
sorry that didn't work out.
I'm good. I'll sleep fine at night, one way or the other. Trust me. So it's just an empty office building now. So it just, I mean, to be blunt, it looks like no pun intended. It's an office building, and you guys theoretically need an office, right?
Okay.
I mean, you don't need one, but I mean, I've been there. I'm 5'3", and I'm like hitting the ceiling there.
I'm 5'1", I'm fit and comfortable.
Okay, got it. Fair enough.
So I guess the council doesn't own any part of that building,
We do not.
correct? And you have no part in the Board of Education, right?
None.
I guess I'm just wondering where where the mayor and council's interest lies in studying that building.
I mean, we work together on a lot of stuff, Constance. I mean,
Right.
like we could, this is a little bit absurd. I mean, there's a number of touch points that we have, whether it's from the SLEOs here, setting up events. Thank you for lending us your superintendents, or not your what do you call it, janitorial service?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You guys pay them, so it's
But I have an interest, so as mayor, I have an interest in meeting my affordable housing requirements, right?
Absolutely.
I have an interest in doing development that makes sense.
Right.
And I see an area that makes sense for development, right? I mean, I think one of the sins of Roselle Park is everybody thinks that we're too dense, 100%.
Right.
No disagreement here. Poor urban planning is putting apartment buildings all on the outskirts of town.
Agreed.
Because if you're going to have apartments, you want them all in the center of town. If you're going to have them, because you want bodies there, you want foot traffic there. So, not to throw any shade to anybody in the garden homes, but like it's inefficient and poor urban planning, right? So I feel like if we're going to have to do another 50 or 70 units, I would like to do that in the central corridor, right?
Where the Board of Education office is.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and what we did tonight was we allowed for the potential of that. It is up to you and a majority of the Board of Education to decide whether or not you want to act on that. We are simply setting the table for an option. And if you don't want to act on that, that's up to you guys. You're an independent board.
Absolutely. But our main concern is where the interest lied right now. I'm sure.
I mean, the insinuation is like, it's a constant.
It's
like,
not
can
an
we
insinuation.
get?
No, it's a genuine question. I guess, like I said, there's 3 members here who hadn't.
The
heard
interests
anything.
lie in additional tax revenue. The
Okay.
interests lie in potentially having 3 new pre-K classes for you.
Would you be willing for the Board of Education on its own to get an independent study of how much the Board of Education building is worth, as opposed to where?
I have no control over what you do, 100%.
Okay.
We just to finish, right? Like, I'll give you a perfect example. We're going to buy, I think that we want to act on this. Oh, is that closed session stuff? Can I talk about this?
Yeah, it's coming out.
Yeah, whatever. So we are looking to acquire more additional parking in the downtown, right? The Wells Fargo came and said, hey, we'll give you this price, or we'll sell to you for this price. Yeah, they said, whatever, I could just talk about the numbers, right? They wanted to give it to it for $600K, but the deal was we would allow their drive-through to stay there.
Right.
This council said we'd rather just pay up front and have the flexibility to kick them out if we want. They gave us their appraisal. We did our appraisal. We actually went with their appraisal.
Right.
But I highly encourage you guys do the same, right? I have no authority, nor would I ever suggest that the Board of Education should just say like, well, the mayor thinks it's worth $3 million, so that's what go with. Go.
I heard the mayor thinks it's worth 1.5.
The mayor has no clue. The mayor has no clue what it's worth.
Okay.
So,
All right. Well, thank you so much for answering.
thank you. Yellow.
Hello, Jennifer Mano, 415 Filbert Street.
Yes.
So my question comes on the affordable housing, right?
Sure.
So it seems as if tonight you are taken off guard by the new number of affordable housing that has to be, was mandated to Roselle Park.
Yep.
So,
Oh, I'm not, but
so it's not new news then?
no, we found out about it in November.
Yeah, it was early November or October.
Yeah, so we got look, I'll throw the state under the bus as much as anybody else, right? Like, we got this information probably like a day or two after Election Day, right? And they printed out a number, I think the original number was 70, I forget what it was. Round up, call it 70, right? 73? Oh, call it 70 for ease, somewhere in that hemisphere. And then, lo and behold, the state's like, okay, well, you need to accept or reject this number by February, whatever, was it 3rd or 4th? Like, nobody was happy about that. So I would say taken off guard, no now. I know what the rough number is, but yeah, I mean, we knew a number was coming. We did not get that number till, I think, too late in the day. And candidly, I apologize to all these council people because, they had to react within 6 weeks of, not even 3 weeks of figuring it out. And they're like, okay, well, what do we do here? So I apologize to you guys for that.
So my question, I guess maybe I'm a bit naive to this,
Yeah.
but there's been a lot of apartments built very recently,
Oh,
and
so
one being
tee me
built
up.
right next to, across the street from the high school.
Yeah.
So why was that not taken into consideration? And now why are you looking to add more, as you already said, a very densely populated town?
Yeah.
You're looking to add more just to fill your quota, but we've built a ton of new apartments.
I'm so excited for this.
Okay, please answer my question.
So Ramorowski, the building that, is there any other questions? Because this is going to take up a little bit of time.
That's the only one, go ahead.
I promise you that I'm going to throw everybody else under the bus here, but it's going to make sense in a second. So we are in round 4 of whatever it's affordable housing bingo. Well, I forget the technical term, right? Round 3 we were exempt from because of Ramorowski. So everybody loves to say, oh, the mayor's doing 3 massive buildings. Ramorowski was, I posted about this several times. It was a 2009 affordable housing lawsuit, which the borough lost and spent a crap ton of money fighting, and that was mandated affordable housing units. The good news is that exempted us from round 3, right? So round 4, our lawyers, when I got elected, encouraged us to, we upped it tonight, make a law where all new buildings had to have some affordable housing component. So those ones that you're referencing by the high school, they do count towards the number. That is part of the plan. So let's just say the number ends up being 50. If there's 6 affordable units there, that counts towards the 50, and now we only have to do 44, right? That was me. The other 2 buildings, one passed, built before I was there, 0 affordable units, right? Very, very big issue, right? Because we could have got, if you did 10% there,
Right.
it's 20 units, right? We're not talking about that. Second building, I'll take part responsibility for the building. So there's 3 phases to it: the redevelopment study, the redevelopment plan, and the redevelopment agreement. When I got elected, the redevelopment plan was done, and they wanted to build, was it a 7-story building then? 6. I said, we're not doing another 6-story building, right? I don't want to see that big of a building. I mean, I think it actually looks good, all things considered, but like, I do not like the First Meridian building. I really, really, to my core, dislike it. There's a reason why we did it, because it was a blighted area and you need to start doing development somewhere, but I would, if I could undo that, with all due respect to everybody who lives there, hate it, right? Sorry, I'm getting my Italian going over that. It's really, really hard as mayor to renegotiate from the start when you come in at the 11th hour. So I had to pick and choose my battles. And the battle that I chose was to make sure that, guys, it could have been 400 units there, right? It's a miracle that it's 325 units there. And everybody could say, well, Mayor, you could have just done nothing there. I could have done nothing there. And we could still have a purple-painted, dilapidated building there, right? So you have to make some tough calls. I really don't want to lay blame on the sins of the past, right? Like, the Romorowski thing had happened. Other towns had happened to, right? Like, I'm not throwing rocks over that. Do I think we should have spent lawyer money fighting it? No, but it is what it is, right?
So these older buildings, they're grandfathered into the older amount? Like, you can't go back to them now and say, we need more
You
affordable
can't,
housing
and
from
and it's a
you?
really you're asking a really good question. So I can talk, unfortunately, but you can't. But I'm glad you're doing this because I get to explain the story, and it's a very good question. So affordable housing in the state of New Jersey, there's a calculation by it, right? And affordable housing units need to be built a certain way, right? So it has to have certain square footage requirements. It needs to have certain amenities, right? And you need to do certain, like, so many 2-bedroom apartments, so many 1-bedroom apartments, and so many studios. So after it's done, you can't really retrofit those and say, hey, it's the other. And then the last thing is, look, as much as it stinks, right? Like, it is hard to go back and, the borough, if you theoretically could do it, like, I think I'll let the lawyer speak to it, but you're probably putting yourself in a pretty difficult legal situation because you're kind of, although it was a different administration, the borough as an entity is kind of acting in bad faith saying, well, we approved this, but now that you built this, can you do this? Like, do you understand where I'm coming from, Mr. Lawyer? Am I off base here?
I can't get this to work, but no, not at all exactly. If you go back and forth, you're going to end up in court, and it's going to be expensive, simply. It's kind of exactly like the mayor said, picking and choosing your battles. You have to be tactical with these. There's finite resources available, and it really comes down to figuring out how to do it as clean as possible.
Yeah, but
Mayor, if I may.
Yeah, please.
Also, just before we finish the story, because I keep hearing you guys, half of this council never voted on apartment buildings. I myself have never had the opportunity to vote on any building. So just to set that record straight, please. Thank you.
Yeah, and just real quick, Meridia 1, the borough had not seen any action in the longest time, right? And I understand the thought behind it is somebody had to come and invest, right? And somebody had to start it. But, the other thing is like, look, I'm 37 years old. I got elected when I was 30, man. It's been dog years. I remember, I don't even think I was living in Roselle Park at the time, but I remember coming home for Christmas and looking at Sullivan Chevrolet and my father complaining about, well, they wanted to put a strip mall there, but everybody complained about the strip mall, right? So, like, there's been sins of the past that we're making up for, and it sucks, and I'm frustrated with you.
Thank you for your
Did
explanation.
that sound sincere?
Thank you.
Good. It is. Okay.
Apartments.
The word of the night.
Michael Ryan, 515 Locust Street.
Hey, Mike.
This is a model of the development I have plans to build at the train station. These buildings are called the Parkers. The Locust House, the Lincoln House, the Chestnut House. Some of the council are familiar with it, but I wanted everyone to have this chance to see it. The design is a result of significant planning, and that is the focus of our planning was how to knit a development in this spot into the community and how it could serve the community. The Parkers are unlike any other of the buildings that have built in Roselle Park in the last few years. All the other projects are what is known as pancake buildings. A pancake building occupies the entire site with parking at grade level and apartments above. This project includes a park, which will allow the continuation of the trail that's along the railroad on the east side of Chestnut Street. The buildings will be divided by large, well-scaped land courtyards. The parking will be subterranean and hidden. One of our main objectives was planning how to connect the apartments to the single-family neighborhood along Lincoln Avenue. It was obvious that we could not build a pancake-type building along Lincoln. That was the driving force behind the design of the three buildings. I invite you to take a close look at the frontage on Lincoln Avenue. Residents along Lincoln Avenue and Filbert Street will view something similar to the existing neighborhood, residential buildings separated by landscaped yards. You might wonder why I would go through the additional work and added expense of these design attributes. The answer is, I care about Roselle Park. I know that council and mayor care about Roselle Park. That's evident by your dedication and sacrifice. My concern is more intimate. I was born and raised in Roselle Park. I grew up in this neighborhood. I witnessed the end of Weston's Woods when they raised the rail and built a train station. My father's business was at that site. My mother lived there while she was councilwoman and mayor. Those and thousands of other reasons are why I put extra thought and planning into this project. A pancake-type building is not the right building for that site. The transition of the train station is the center of town. It is important that we build something that is woven into the community and create a place that the community can be part of and proud of for the next 100 years. I urge you to move forward with this project.
Yep, Mike, I appreciate your dedication on this. Oh, really? You guys are clapping for more apartments? Wow, really? Word? What? Hold on, can I record this again? Hold on. For these apartments, I'm serious. Clap again. Go, go, go. Yeah, thank you. I didn't actually record it. Or we could do both. Mike, I'm on record. I love this project, right? I'll say it on the record. I absolutely love this project, right? Like, not to sound snooty, but this is very, very. I've only seen this in Europe, right? Like Oslo, Norway is the only place where I've seen this design. Everybody else does the big brick Meridia buildings, right? Council has had issues with the density, and I don't know how to go forward with that, right? And I'm not throwing anybody in the bus. I understand it, right? I will say, in council's defense, right? It's one of the shames of Roselle Park is Cranford gets the benefit of having their train station in the middle of the historic downtown, right? Our train station was just slapped in the middle of abutting an R1 zone, right? And I think there's anxiety around that. I'm not speaking for myself, right? But I believe that there's anxiety in the council. And I'm not throwing anybody here under the bus. We've had this discussion out loud, so I wish I had a better answer for you.
Hey, Mike, can I ask you a question? Was one of those companies, from your, all those companies you listed that was in that area, wasn't one of them an oil company or something?
Yeah,
Ryan Oil?
that was my father's. It started out as a coal company. Am I allowed to talk?
Yeah.
It started as a coal company, evolved to an oil company, to a service company, and we moved that company to Union.
Did they mitigate the land there? That's my concern.
Well, there was a project plan for this site back in 2008. You know what happened in 2008. We did receive the no further action letter from the from the state.
Yeah. You have anyone?
Unfortunately, so Mike, I got to cut you off.
Location?
So just real quick, Mike, I got to cut you off. But Greg, I believe, to be honest with you, that would be, I would imagine, part of the land use board, right? I think isn't the site kind of stuff part of?
Because I'm concerned if people are going to be there, I want to make sure the land is.
No, 100%. Yeah.
That nature.
I think it's something that
you know what I mean, Mike?
Well, that's why.
Yeah, I can't have the back and forth, unfortunately. But I understood the concern.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm done.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else want to come up and speak?
Can I offer you an image of
Sure, I'll take it. Thanks, Mike. Thank you, sir.
images of what the courtyards, similar courtyards?
Appreciate it, brother.
Is it still 4 stories, 99 units?
Jay, we can't do this, Jay. Yeah. Lucy? Yeah, want to come up? Go ahead. Oh, George? Whoever? Okay.
Hi, Lucy Figueredo, 330 Chardon Avenue.
Hi, Lucy.
Hi. So everybody knows I was running for 3 years for the Board of Ed.
Yep.
And I was very excited when I got on.
Yep.
So I personally have never seen that building you're talking about.
Yep.
Have you gotten approval from the board?
No.
So you haven't spoken to anybody? Nobody's seen the building?
No, I spoke to Brittany. I mean, it was my understanding, I had a rough sense that she was going to be the board president, so I figured that would be a good person to start with.
Okay.
Yep.
I was just wondering, because I personally have never seen the building. I know what building you're talking about.
Yeah.
So has anybody toured that building?
I have. I know Brittany has. I would say, I think you guys should, right? I think, I would say, what's up? Oh yeah, you haven't seen? I've got my Lakers hoodie on.
I
Yeah,
have,
yeah, I got it. So you're getting me to say it. Like I've got nothing to hide here, right? Like I knew Brittany was going to be the Board of Ed president. I figured I'd start with her. If you guys want to go see it, I would imagine that to even entertain this, you're going to start with a memorandum of understanding, right, or something like that. And you should go there. You should kick the tires. You should check it out. But like, forgive me, right? Like, guys, can we sidebar just so I can have this? I would say normally on these matters, right? If I'm talking to another town or another entity, it's usually mayor to mayor or mayor to board president or sometimes mayor to superintendent. It's my understanding that you guys have discussed, I think internally, at least some high level version of this. If not, then I'm misinformed. Whatever, not my business. But yeah, 100%. You're a voting member, right? If you say, I'm not going to vote yes on this until I kick it, go talk to the rest of the board members, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Hey.
Mayor, everyone. How you doing? Jake Moskowitz, 139 West Clay Avenue. Procedurally, number 76, can that be revoted on anytime in the near future?
I defer to the lawyer and the clerk. I don't know.
I believe we'd have to reintroduce the resolution.
But it could be reintroduced is what I get. Yeah.
How long would that generally take?
You could reintroduce a reso whenever.
So it could be that before the next meeting?
It could be before the next meeting. We'd have to call a special meeting. But yeah, it could theoretically be before the next meeting.
Okay. So I heard a lot of no's, obviously.
Yeah.
But I didn't hear any good reasons. I heard security. I heard maybe an odor. It seems like we may not know exactly what the plan is for what the business is going to be operating as. And I was curious if anyone has any questions or could give me some serious no's. Are we just anti-cannabis? Do we not want to give people jobs? Do we not want to see the taxes and everything that goes with a small business that is successful? What's the no's? Where are we coming from?
They were very good no's.
I heard security.
They were very good no's. We said no. That's
Okay,
it.
That's it?
Yeah. You saying it's not a good no? I'm saying it's a good no.
I just was wondering if there was any
No
legitimate
questions.
reasons.
We don't want it.
Okay. Would we be okay if it was a bottling facility for liquor? Because gonna have to rent out the building or sell it, right, down the line if there's no successful business going on. So what do we suggest would be good for a small 3,000 square foot manufacturing facility in that area? A bakery? What are we thinking? A
Would you like to do a bakery?
That more, right? That would be beautiful.
Do a bakery. I would love bakery.
What exactly, does anybody have any suggestions? Or should I just sell it to a developer and let him turn the whole thing into apartments down the line? That's where we end up, right? So just curious if anyone has any suggestions at all. No?
For the record, I'm with you, Jake. Just questions need to be addressed through the chair, and you guys can respond if you like.
Okay, so that's it. You want to ask, or you
look,
can't? I don't know.
Jake, look, you guys are welcome to, council and I differ on this, right? We're not always going to see eye to eye. I'm a proponent of it. It's legal. I'd like to make money off of it. Council disagrees with me on this. Wouldn't be the first time, won't be the last. And I can't speak to these guys, but I can tell you from my perspective, it's something that I support, but I only vote in a tie, and there was no tie here.
Yeah, that's cool. I was just curious, just wanted to know and see where we land. Because their application is up, and if we were gonna possibly revote, then that would be great. And if there's no opportunity for that, maybe we could have a presentation of some education as to what's going on here, but there's nothing that seems like this isn't a good use of that building, besides some opinions.
Yeah, so Jake, I will say that I think it's a little bit of, you're running out of time, it's 15 seconds.
Fine.
But I'll mention this. I think this was put on pretty quickly for some folks, and that's partly because we were slow in analyzing this. Just so everybody knows, the reason it was on this agenda is because the applicant has a state license that will expire, before the next meeting. So it was requested that it would be on this meeting to either get an exception or a rejection because they need it for continuing the state license. Look, he's a small-town business owner. Council, I'm not speaking for you guys. If you want to, go tour the facility and talk about the plans. And if you say, hey, Mayor, we should reconsider, then, you guys are council, right? You can tell me what you want to do. That's the only other thing I can suggest as a way forward. Conjon's your fourth ward councilman, right? If you want to go tour, and Conjon says, hey, actually, I saw it and I'm good with it, I'm happy to call a special meeting, but I'm not going to do it unless council changes their mind, because it's just going to be a waste of time. But I encourage you guys, council, if you see it valuable, you can talk to Jake afterwards. If you don't, no harm, no foul here, right? But totally up to you guys. I'd say, Conjon's been away, so it's been tough to get to him, but, it is his ward, so I think it's probably worth starting with him, and stick around to the end, and if you...
Nothing wrong with educational purposes, but, the votes is the vote, but I see no problem with the education.
Yeah. I mean, the votes are, yeah, exactly. But stick around afterwards. If any of these guys want to talk to you afterwards, it's all, you're able to speak to the councilman. That's all, anything I could suggest.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you. Yep. Anybody else? We allowed to come up twice?
Public portion. I could come up again.
Oh, you came up the first
I
time.
was up at the
Oh, my
beginning.
God.
Sorry.
Can you tell me how you like the development first? Can we start off on a positive
I really
note?
like it.
All
I
right.
really like. Wait,
It's a really cool
Cindy
model,
Mago,
too.
433
Yes.
Walnut. I do like it
No.
because it's at the train station, where it belongs, not the Board of Ed building. But I want to start by saying, I'm sorry, but thank you for voting no on that. Personal feelings aside about marijuana, I have an issue with it being within the 1,000 to 1,500 feet of a school.
Sure.
If that's the rule, that should be the rule. Don't try to skirt the rule. So it is what it is.
Yep.
But that wasn't what I was coming up here to talk
Yep.
about. I actually wanted to talk about the pilot money.
Okay.
So I know we have Meridia 1 and 2. I'm not sure what we're calling the one at the end of Chestnut Street.
The one at the end of Chestnut Street? It's,
Euro Chestnut, I don't know, whatever the name of that one is.
10 West, yeah.
10 West?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Hunter property and Mimi's property. Did all of them receive pilot?
Yes, they all did.
Okay.
Yep.
So correct me
Oh,
if
no,
I'm-
Mimi's did not.
Mimi's didn't, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so 4 properties did.
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mhm.
The municipality does not have to give any of that funds to the Board of Ed.
That's not true. There is a percent, I believe, correct?
That they have to?
On the conventional land taxes, it's split conventionally with the Board of Education.
It is.
Yes, for the land taxes. On the improvement, the pilot is on the improvement. So
Okay.
the pilot is on the building.
Okay.
That is split between the municipality and the county. The municipality gets
Okay.
95% of the revenue, the county gets 5% of the revenue.
Okay.
The important thing to remember is anything the Board of Ed asks, or the county, or open space, or whatever, the library, right, the other levies, they will get their levy funding.
Okay. So
we charge the bill that you need to bill.
When the Board of Education certifies this is the levy we need to raise,
Right.
the municipality has to collect it, whatever that looks like.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, yes, okay.
Yeah, so it's ultimately up to
right.
you what you guys, you will get funded, what
Okay.
you need to get funded.
I was just curious, that there was a misunderstanding as to if a portion of the actual pilot money that came
No.
goes to the the school district.
The
So
pi-
it
the
does
pi-
not.
the pilot, which is on the improvement, does not go to the school. The conventional land taxes that sit on the land remain intact.
Okay, so the basic, what they were paying before when it was empty.
Right. Well,
Whatever the land-
yes, but I will say that there are improved values to land when there are, say, land use
Okay.
approvals on them.
Okay.
I couldn't quote them to you now,
Okay.
but they could be more than when the development started.
Okay, so we have the 4 properties. We do get the land tax, which I'm sure is a lot less than the pilot money that came in.
Yes.
So there's no requirement to give any to the school district, obviously.
Yep.
But you can.
Sure.
Has there ever been a discussion of giving a portion to the school district?
Yeah. There has been discussion of it. So 2 things. I mean, again, I really hate to just be like saying, well, it's the other guys, right? There's a good portion of those that I cannot speak to, right? The problem is it gets pretty difficult to calculate, right? And at the end of the day, right, so what Andrew's saying, and I agree with, right, is, look, the school gets funded at the levels you guys need to get funded, right? So we do not have, we have much more
But
restrictions.
that money comes from the taxpayers.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, your money comes from the taxpayers too,
Yeah, but I understand what I was going to say. But like, I mean, it's right pocket, left pocket, Cindy, is what I would argue, right?
Yeah.
So let's just say we get $100,000 from a pilot, right? So $100,000 could pay for a police department or a police officer, or it could pay for a teacher, right? At the end of the day, right, like that's still coming off theoretically the tax bill, right? So it's, do we give it 50-50 and, you pay for half a teacher and half a cop, right? Like at the end of the day, it's still going towards the tax bill is what I would argue, right?
Right.
I understand philosophically where you go, but it's.
I was just curious how it worked because there was some miscommunication back and forth within Board of Ed members of how exactly that works.
Yeah, I thought a small portion of it went to Board of Ed and the county, but I'm
I thought
mistaken.
it did, but apparently it doesn't
Yeah.
unless the municipality decides to give a portion of your 95%.
I could have swore it was like 5%. I mean, which is not
It's
much,
nothing,
but I could have swore
yeah.
there was something. But anyway, I was educated tonight then too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Cool. Anybody else? All right, I'm seeing no one. May I have a motion to close the public portion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, we still have reports. We do have a closed session. It's going to be quick though. You want to skip it?
Pull the Band-Aid and do it.
Okay. May I have a motion to go and close?
I need to.
So moved.
Oh, you got to read the thingy?
Whereas the mayor and council of the Borough of Roselle Park wish to discuss matters which are described by the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-12, and whereas the general nature of the subject to be discussed in closed session are contract negotiations with the Township of Clark, and whereas the time when the circumstances under which the item discussed in closed session will be disclosed to the public at a future time, now therefore be it resolved, the mayor and council of the Borough of Roselle Park and the County of Union State of New Jersey do adjourn the open portion of the meeting and open a closed portion to discuss the aforementioned item. Need a motion to go into close and adopt the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Do I have a motion to reconvene?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor, in closed session, the governing body discussed contract negotiations with the Township of Clark. No resolution is being, has come to, there's no resolution at this time.
Okay, cool. We're going to skip updates because everybody's fried. See you next meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It was the weirdest ending we've had.